Certainty and fear still looming a year after President Trump announced his plans to phase out DACA.
The future of the program that protects young immigrants remains up in the air tonight. Team 12's Joe Dana joins us to verify where it sits now and what's next.
I spoke with immigrant activists here in Phoenix about what the last year has been like for so-called dreamers. There are three consequences of the president's decision to put DACA on hold. Consequence number one, thousands of college students in Arizona are in limbo, taking only 1 or 2 college classes at a time or none at all. The reason? They can't afford out-of-state tuition. It's a result of President Trump's hold on the DACA program and an Arizona Supreme Court ruling earlier this year. Number 2, fear and uncertainty persist in immigrant communities. 4 lawsuits are making their way through federal courts over DACA, and Congress has yet to act on a long-term solution. With no guarantee for protections, some immigrants of dreamer age are holding off from paying legal fees necessary to apply for status. Number 3, the courts, not Congress, are deciding DACA. Because Congress has not acted to define the legal status of the estimated 700,000 young undocumented immigrants nationwide, court rulings are doing the work for lawmakers. A Texas judge recently prevented DACA from being declared outright illegal. Many now believe the U.S. Supreme Court will ultimately have the final say. And the government has been ordered by the courts to continue renewing 2-year permits for young immigrants until the issue is resolved. Back to you.
All right, Joe, thank you.